Hello and welcome to the Wonder Box. Are you ready to journey back in time? Today, we're not just scratching the surface of history. We're plunging into a year so bizarre, so terrifying, it sounds like something straight out of a nightmare. Imagine a world plunged into twilight. Not just for a day or a week, but for over a year. The sun, our life giver, veiled, weak, almost absent. Sounds like science fiction, doesn't it? But what if I told you this actually happened? In the year 536 AD, the ancient world experienced a climate catastrophe so profound, so devastating, that it's still sending shivers down the spines of historians and scientists today. Forget your typical bad year. This wasn't just a series of unfortunate events. This was a year the sun seemingly vanished. A year of unending darkness, crippling cold, and unimaginable hardship. This is the story of the volcanic winter of 536 AD, a forgotten global disaster that reshaped civilizations and plunged the world into chaos. For over a year, historical records from across the globe paint a terrifyingly consistent picture. The sun was dimmed, weak, pale, as if shrouded in a perpetual thick fog. Procopius, a Byzantine scholar living in Constantinople, the heart of the Roman Empire at the time, wrote in vivid detail about this eerie phenomenon. He described the sun giving forth its light without brightness, like the moon during this whole year. Imagine that. Day after day, month after month, the sun offering only a moon-like glow. Not the bright, life-sustaining sun we know. No warmth, no vibrant light, just a pale imitation hanging in the sky. And Procopius wasn't alone in his observations. Across the Mediterranean in Syria, Michael the Syrian, a later patriarch, echoed the same unsettling details. He wrote, "The sun became dark and its darkness lasted for 18 months. 18 months of darkness." Think about that for a moment. Think about the psychological impact. The sheer dread of living under a sky that refuses to brighten. But it wasn't just the Mediterranean world that suffered. Records from further afield confirm this global event. In China, historical annals describe the sun was not seen for 3 days. While this Chinese account mentions a shorter period of immediate darkness, it hints at a similar atmospheric disruption, a blockage of sunlight. And even further north in Ireland, the usually detailed Irish annals record a cryptic yet telling entry for 536 AD. A failure of bread. A simple statement yet loaded with meaning. A failure of bread implies a failure of crops. And a failure of crops points to a disruption in the very rhythm of nature. The sunlight, the warmth, the predictable seasons all thrown into disarray. What could cause such a widespread, prolonged dimming of the sun? What could plunge the world into a year-long twilight? Scientists today believe the answer lies deep within the Earth itself. They point to a colossal volcanic eruption. Not just any eruption, but one of truly monumental scale. Imagine a volcano, or perhaps a series of volcanic eruptions, unleashing unimaginable amounts of ash, dust, and sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere. These particles, propelled high into the stratosphere, wouldn't just dissipate quickly. Instead, they would spread across the globe, forming a veil, a planetary shroud. This veil would act like a giant reflector, bouncing sunlight back into space, preventing it from reaching the Earth's surface. Think of it like a global-scale version of a cloudy day, but infinitely more intense and prolonged. The sun's rays, normally warming the planet, essential for life, were blocked, dimmed to a fraction of their usual intensity. But where did this colossal eruption happen? The exact location remains a mystery, lost to the mists of time. However, scientists have narrowed down the possibilities. Ice core samples from Greenland and Antarctica offer crucial clues. These ice cores, like frozen time capsules, trap layers of volcanic ash deposited over millennia. Analyzing these layers, scientists have found a massive spike in sulfate deposition dating back to precisely 536 AD. This sulfate spike is a fingerprint, a telltale sign of a massive volcanic eruption. The chemical composition of the ash suggests a likely candidate: Iceland. Iceland, a volcanic island nation even today, was certainly capable of such a massive eruption in the 6th century. However, other possibilities exist. Some scientists suggest a Central American volcano, perhaps in present-day El Salvador or Guatemala, could also be responsible. Regardless of the precise location, the scale of the eruption was undeniably immense. It wasn't just the dimmed sun that plagued the year 536 and the years that followed. The volcanic veil caused a dramatic drop in global temperatures. Imagine a sudden planet-wide cold snap that lasts for years. Temperatures plunged by several degrees Celsius. Summers became brutally short and cold. Winters were long, harsh, and unforgiving. This sudden climate shift had devastating consequences, especially for agriculture. Crops failed on a massive scale. The reduced sunlight and frigid temperatures stunted plant growth. Growing seasons were decimated. Harvests withered. Famine stalked the land. The Irish annals weren't just lamenting a failure of bread. They were recording the desperate reality of widespread starvation. Across Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, people faced the grim specter of hunger. Food reserves dwindled, livestock died. Desperate populations resorted to anything to survive. This wasn't just discomfort. This was a fight for survival. And famine wasn't the only killer unleashed by the volcanic winter. Weakened by hunger and cold, populations became incredibly vulnerable to disease. Just a few years after the darkness descended, in 541 AD, a devastating plague erupted. The Justinian Plague, named after the Byzantine Emperor Justinian I, swept across the world. It was one of the deadliest pandemics in human history. The plague, likely bubonic plague, spread rapidly through weakened populations already suffering from malnutrition and stress caused by the climate shock. The volcanic winter of 536 didn't directly cause the plague, but it created the perfect conditions for its devastating spread. It weakened societies, disrupted trade, and created widespread misery, making populations far more susceptible to disease. The combination of famine, disease, and social upheaval led to widespread societal collapse in many regions. Existing empires and kingdoms were stretched to their breaking points. The Byzantine Empire, under Justinian, ambitious and seemingly powerful, was severely weakened by the combined disasters. Justinian's dreams of reconquering the West were hampered by the economic devastation and population loss caused by the volcanic winter and the subsequent plague. Migrations and conflicts intensified. Desperate populations seeking food and survival moved in search of better conditions, often clashing with existing communities. The volcanic winter of 536 AD wasn't just a climate event. It was a tipping point, a catalyst for profound historical change. Some historians even argue that it contributed to the decline of the late Roman Empire and the transition into the Dark Ages. While the term Dark Ages is now viewed with nuance and is often debated by historians, it's undeniable that the 6th century was a period of significant upheaval and societal transformation. The volcanic winter certainly played a crucial role in this transformation. It's a stark reminder of the fragility of human civilization in the face of natural disasters. It shows us how interconnected our world is and how a single event, like a massive volcanic eruption, can have global cascading consequences. The year 536 AD and the years that followed were a time of immense suffering and loss. But they also highlight the resilience of the human spirit. Despite the darkness, famine, and disease, humanity persisted. Societies adapted, albeit with great difficulty and loss. Life went on. The sun eventually returned to its full brilliance. The volcanic veil dissipated. But the memory of the year the sun vanished, the volcanic winter of 536 AD, serves as a powerful lesson. A lesson about our planet's dynamic forces, a lesson about our vulnerability to climate change, and a lesson about the enduring strength of humanity in the face of unimaginable adversity. So, the next time you look up at the bright, warm sun, remember the year 536. Remember the year the sun vanished. Remember the resilience of those who lived through the darkness. It's a history lesson etched in ice cores and ancient texts. A powerful reminder of the forces that shape our world and our history. We've journeyed into a truly dark period of history today, haven't we? The volcanic winter of 536 AD is a chilling tale, but also a fascinating one. It's just one example of the incredible stories and mysteries hidden within the vast tapestry of history. If you enjoyed unearthing this forgotten disaster with me, please give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the Wonder Box for more explorations into the amazing, often unbelievable world of history. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a new historical adventure. Thank you for joining me in the Wonder Box. Until next time, keep wondering.